zoom out of this for a second. All right, so looking at this one, find the exact value. So anytime we see find the exact value, we know we're going to use our unit circle. We're looking for sine of 360. So if you went to your unit circle and you looked for 690, is 690 going to be on your unit circle? No, it's too big. It's bigger than 360. So what do I want to do with that if it's bigger than 360? Subtract. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 360. Okay? So that's the same thing as saying 330 degrees. So don't think of it as 690. Think of it as sine of 330. Okay? So I'm going to go to my unit circle and look up 330 degrees. It gives you the ordered pair, radical 3 over 2 and negative 1/2. So if I'm doing sine, sine is y over r. My y is going to be 1, and my r is going to be 2. So sine of 330 degrees is negative 1/2. Once I've done that, then I'm going to do the second one. Sine of negative pi over 2. Where's negative pi over 2 going to be? At the bottom. Positive pi over 2 is at the very top, so negative pi over 2 is going to put me to the bottom. So when you go to the bottom of the ordered pair, you look at this ordered pair, you get that. Okay, it's 0 times negative 1. Well, sine is y times, or y over r, so that would be negative 1 over a radius of 1. Okay, so this first fraction, or this first thing gave me negative 1/2. Sine of negative pi over 2 got me negative 1. How many negative signs do you see there? 2. If you have 2 negative signs, is my answer going to be positive or negative? Positive. So it's not A, it's not C. 1/2 times 1, that gets me D. So number 6 says approximate cosecant of 32 degrees. Okay, so remember when we say the word approximate, we're assuming we're using our calculator there. Okay, it normally is pretty clear whether we want you to use your calculator or not. But we're going to use our calculator. The first thing we always got to decide is what mode do we need to be in. Are we in degrees or radians here? Degrees. And the way you tell, there's a little degree sign. See that degree sign? That means be in degrees. So I'm going to hit my mode button first. So here's my mode button. I'm going to be in degrees, so I go down to degrees, hit enter, and then just clear out of that screen to get back to regular. Do I have a cosecant button, Harrison? No, so if I don't have a cosecant button, which button do we have? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Which one's going to go with cosecant? Sine. Cosecant goes with sine. So I'm going to hit sine of 32 and hit enter. That is not my answer. That's sine of 32. If I want to get cosecant, I want to do the reciprocal of that. So remember, you have that reciprocal button. It's right here, that x to the negative 1 button. So we hit that, and we hit enter. We get 1.887 or 1.89, which was the correct answer there, 1.89. So given secant is 13 over 12, and theta's in quadrant 4, find cotangent. So always we're going to try to set up x, y, and r. So if I set up x, y, and r here, okay, this is secant. So secant is r over x. So my r is 13. My x is 12. What would I need to do to find y? Pythagorean Theorem. It's one that I have memorized. It's 5. Okay, so my y is going to be 5. It tells me my angle is in quadrant 4. So if you're in the 4th quadrant down here, if I'm have an angle and it's in this section right here, what is going to be true about my x's if I'm in that quadrant? They're positive. What would be true about my y's though? They'd be negative because I went down. So this would be a negative 5 right here. All right? And then if I did cotangent, cotangent is x over y. So my answer is going to be 12 over 5, and it's negative. There. So we missed this one quite a bit. What quadrant would you fall in if secant is less than 0 and tangent, secant was greater than 0 and tangent was less than 0? Okay? So we've done this one a couple times now. I'm going to draw a graph. If it says secant, okay, secant is r over x. If we're greater than 0, what's that telling us? It's positive. So in other words, x is positive. Well, if x is positive, that means I'm going to the right. So it puts us in those two quadrants. The second one says tangent. Uh-oh, that's the one that we struggle with the most. Okay? We're talking about tangent. Tangent means y over x less than 0 means negative. What does that tell you? If y over x has to be negative, what is that telling you about your x and your y? Different signs. So look at your unit circle and try to think of it. In this quadrant, they're both positive. In this quadrant, they're different signs. In this quadrant, they're both negative. In that quadrant, they're different signs. So which one was the one we were looking for? Quadrant 4. So this one says, find the exact value. You're trying to figure out cosine ultimately. Our last goal here is to find cosine. So anytime we're trying to find x, y, and r, or to find cosine, we're going to do x, y, and r. X equals, y equals, r equals. From this right here, tangent's negative 4/9, that's y over x. So it's 4 over 9. Which one of those two is, are they both going to be negative? No, it is negative. So if it's negative, that means they need to be different signs. I don't know right now, though, which one's which. I know they need to be different, but I don't know which one's which. So the rest of that's going to help us. It says you're in quadrant 2. So if I'm in quadrant 2, that would put me right here. Which thing is going to be negative in that quadrant? Is it going to be my x or my y? X, because I moved to the left. I moved left and up, so that means my x is negative. My y is positive. I have different signs like I wanted. Okay? To find r, I'm going to do Pythagorean Theorem. Well, look at your multiple choice answers. What do you think your r is going to be? Square root of 97. I could do it. I could cheat, but I'm just going to use what I got there. I'm guessing it's square root of 97. Okay? It's not going to be negative. I know that because r is never negative. But I used that to help me. Okay? In the end, we're doing cosine. So when we're thinking cosine, cosine is x over r. So x is negative 9. R is radical 97. So I know my answer needs to be negative. I would multiply by radical 97 on top and bottom. So on top, I would get negative 9 radical 97, and on bottom, I'd get regular 97.